Paul Caneiro, it's indictment 19-020283. Can I have the appearances of counsel for the record?
Honor, Assistant Prosecutor Nicole Wallace on behalf of the state.
Good morning, Judge Chris Decker, Assistant Monmouth County Prosecutor for the state.
Good morning, Your Honor. Monica Mastellon on behalf of Mr. Paul Caneiro, who's present.
Good morning, Judge Andy Murray for Mr. Caneiro.
All right, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Mr. Caneiro. I did not want to bring the jurors out yet because there was an issue. Can I have the attorneys up here for a second? Sure. Yeah, just number 9. Put him right in his regular seat. Morning, sir. How are you?
Morning. Good.
So, something came to my attention in reference to on Wednesday walking out from the courthouse at the end of the day, that there may have been some conversation that went on between yourself and a sheriff's officer, and I wanted to just hear it from you if there was any conversation. The way it was relayed to me is that it had to do something with the photographs that were observed on the screen. If you recall, do you recall having some form of a conversation with the sheriff's officer about that?
Yeah.
Okay. Could you tell me what the conversation was, please?
Let me think. Oh, boy. Jeez. I probably made reference to the fact that that was something about the trauma of the photo.
Okay.
And I think I might have said something to him like, I guess this is nothing new for you guys. You probably see this once in a while. I think it was something to that effect. That's what I recall. I don't.
Okay, that's fine. So, when you say the trauma of the photo, tell me what you meant by that when you said that.
The trauma that those folks might have probably experienced.
Okay.
And
so the trauma to them?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me how, when you saw the photos, if at all, how it impacted you.
Just sadness.
Okay. Now, we discussed, if you remember, one of the open-ended questions, we discussed this particular issue.
Right.
Because we foreshadowed that this would be something that would come up.
Right.
And it's my recollection that every one of the jurors had indicated that they would be able to put any emotion aside and be able to still decide this case based upon all the evidence. Correct. And not based on the photos. I just want to make sure you are still comfortable that you saw what you saw, and that's fine. If you are in any way feeling any sort of way just by looking at those photos, I need for you to tell me now, because obviously it's important to both sides here.
No, I think that happened, and in that moment that happened, and then I was like, okay, just clear it out. It's like, okay, that's what it is, and just move on. I tend to do that. Things can impact me, and then I'll process it, and then just go back to square one, so it doesn't linger.
Okay. So, whatever that trauma was to the victims in this case, I need to know that your emotions that you had, even if you put them aside, that you would be able to still decide this case, because you have to decide not only that these individuals have died, and also that who the individual was who did this. Right. So I need to make sure that you still have an open mind as to all of the evidence in this case. You're going to evaluate all of it and not just the fact that you're looking at those photos. Are you going to be able to do that?
I feel like it will. Yeah.
Okay. I want to get a little bit more from you if you don't mind.
Sure.
I don't know if it applied to you when we had those voir dire questions. Yeah, if you don't mind.
Folks, can you keep it down, please? Thank you.
I don't know if it applied to you or not, but sometimes when people would answer my questions when we were going through voir dire, if they gave me an answer that maybe it could mean something else, I would ask it again. And so I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I heard you, what you just said, but I just want to make sure. I need to know, and both parties need to know, that the photos are not going to impact your overall analysis in this case. So can you say that with certainty that you can do that, or are you still feeling like, yeah, it's still bothering me?
No, I can say it with certainty. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's just, you know, when it hits you, it hits you. It's like, whoosh. I mean, there's lots of things through life where if I don't hold it in that moment and then be able to move on, that I'm just captured into the past and I'm ready to move on.
Okay. All right, so you feel like you could still be fair and impartial both to the state and to the defense?
Absolutely.
Okay. So now let me ask you this. That conversation that you had with the officer, was there anybody else that was a part of that conversation?
He and I were on the back of the line. We were just together.
Okay, so there was nobody else there? And can you tell us about that when you talked to him? Was it in a high voice? Was it a low voice? Meaning that
Soft.
Soft?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you feel, based upon what you saw during that conversation, that any of the other jurors heard what you said?
No.
Okay.
I made sure I was far enough back because I didn't want to.
Okay. Let me now take it past the sheriff's officer for a second. Understanding how you felt on Wednesday night, were you able to continue with complying with the charge of not talking to people that night about it or talk to anybody else about it? You had to kind of keep it to yourself. Were you able to do that? If you weren't, I understand. But
I mentioned a couple of things to my wife about it was a heavy day.
Okay.
That was about it.
You just said heavy day?
Heavy day, yeah.
Did you say anything more than that?
I said that they showed photos today and it was really impactful.
Okay.
And she wanted to know more. I said, but she goes, no, I know you can't talk about it.
Okay. Did she make any comments to you as a result of what you said?
No.
Okay. All right. Is there anything about the conversation that you had with your wife that you feel that could impact you and your ability to be fair and impartial?
Oh, no, not at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Separate and apart from this conversation, is there anything else that has happened during the course of this trial? Any emotions that have come up that would affect your ability to be fair and impartial?
No.
Okay. Do you feel like you can sit on this jury and decide this case, continue on?
I do.
Okay. Any doubt in your mind?
No. I mean, even when Wednesday happened, I was still locked into like objectivity. It was so. Yeah, I feel competent.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir. This is between the four walls, so if you don't mind, we're going to keep this here. I'm not going to say anything to them, so please don't tell them either. And let me ask you this, just to round it out. Have you heard anyone else talking about the trial or anything else, or make any comments to you about those pictures or anything?
Folks in here?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Just, people are just, you got looks and we're like exchanging information just through our eyes. That's it.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay, but no one said anything about it? Okay. All right, you can go back in the jury room. Thank you,
Sorry
sir.
for
There's nothing to be sorry about, sir. Thank you, though. I appreciate your honesty. Anything anyone want to put on the record? I feel comfortable with what he said.
Same for the state judge.
Okay. Defense?
Nothing at this time, Judge.
Okay. For the record purposes, after listening to juror number 9, I found him to be very credible in his responses to me. I found that under the circumstances, the pictures, they showed what they showed. And we, as the attorneys and the court, we looked at question number one to the jurors and asked them specifically because we knew that these photos could have impact. This juror remained consistent with what his answers was back during voir dire. I don't have any concerns about him and his ability to be fair and impartial in this case. I do not find in any way, shape, or form that there's been any impact on any of the other jurors. I find that the sheriff's officer and the juror were back away from the rest of the jurors, that the other jurors didn't hear those two comments that were made. And based upon that, I'm going to allow juror number 9 to continue on with our case, and we'll see where, if he ends up being a part of our case or not. Nobody knows until the alternates are picked after the charge is given to the jury. With that being said, is there anything else we need to do before we go back and bring the jurors out?
No, but Judge, I just need to remind the court the state needs to rest.
No, I do. I remember that. But anything other than that?
No, sir.
Anything else from the defense before I bring them back out? Okay. I just don't want to bring them out and then us come right to sidebar in 2 seconds. So if there's something, let's just do it now. We're good? Okay. All right. We can bring them out. Thank you. See, I've been out here for a while.
You beat us for once.
It would have been fun if you guys knocked on the door and said that you were ready. Next time,
I didn't know we were allowed.
You got it. All right, we're just going to allow everyone back in. Did anyone see we may get snow again this weekend?
Wednesday's snow day.
Isn't it enough? Didn't we get enough? We can't get rid of the old stuff.
I thought you were going to indict somebody, Mother Nature.
Yeah, well, listen, Mother Nature's not listening. It's kind of like the story of my life. Nobody listens to me. All right. Let's just give it one more second. I apologize. I should have done that before I asked you to come out. Okay, we're back on the record. I already put the caption on the record earlier. So with that being said, I'll turn it over to the state.
Thank you, Judge. Subject to the moving of evidence, the state rests.
Okay, the state rests at this point in time. At this point in time, we'll move over to the defense case. The defense can call their first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The defense would call Dr. Jack Gould.
Good morning, sir. Just watch your step as you're coming up. If you don't mind, sir, if you could put your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and once you can get seated, get comfortable. Can you state your full name for the record and spell your last name, please?
Jack Gould, last name Gould.
Sir, I'm just going to ask for you to do me a favor, okay? When you speak, when you're testifying, please make sure you keep your voice up. Jurors number 15 and 16, they got to be able to hear everything that you're saying, so just keep your voice up, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, when you're ready, Ms. Mastalone.
Thank you. Good morning, Dr. Gould. Good morning. Can you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Stand up.
Oh, no, you can remain seated.
My name is Jack Gould. I'm a local physician in Monmouth County.
And what is your educational background?
I did my undergraduate work as a microbiologist at Rutgers College. From there, I worked in the pharmaceutical industry and then went off to medical school at the University of Medicine and Dentistry. And then I did my residency in obstetrics and gynecology at Monmouth Medical Center.
And do you currently live in Monmouth County?
Yes.
Who do you live with?
I currently live with my wife, Pam Gould.
Okay, so I want to first talk to you about how you know the Caneiro family. Do you know Paul Caneiro and his family?
Yes.
And who is in Paul's immediate family?
Wife Susan and 2 daughters, Marissa and Katie.
And how do you know them?
They were my neighbors for 23 to 25 years.
Okay, and when did it start? When did you first meet them? What year?
Met in the spring of '96, and they moved in approximately 6 months after we moved in.
Okay, and when you say neighbors, where was your house physically located in comparison to Mr. Caneiros?
They were directly, our back sides of both our houses, we were directly behind their house.
And what was your address at the time?
19 Oxford Drive.
That address may sound familiar, so let me just ask you this. Were you involved in this investigation at all?
Only in the fact that I had been requested to offer video surveillance for my cameras.
And did you ultimately provide the surveillance to the detectives when they asked?
Yes.
And we've seen that. Were you involved in this investigation in any other way?
No.
And was there anything with respect to the investigation that you would have added?
Yeah, it was kind of odd because when all this was going on, this would be on the 20th, I was actually in my office watching, because I had cameras, watching what was going on, and they were going from one backyard to the other backyard, back and forth, and I realized they were talking to my wife, and when they pointed at the cameras, I kind of realized I'd be getting a visitor at my office. They showed up, they asked for the video information, but they never actually even asked if I had known Paul. They never asked any questions about it, and our backyards were kind of odd because we had a little walkway with pergolas and kind of grapevines, and they were putting up crime scene tape, but they never asked what was with the connection between the 2 yards, which was kind of odd.
Was it like a custom?
Yeah, it was custom pergolas, and kind of made it look nice so that families could go back and forth easily.
Okay. So let's talk about that information that, I want to talk about the information that you have about the Caneiro family. But since you mentioned the surveillance cameras, I just want to talk about that briefly. Who installed your cameras, your surveillance system?
I did the actual installation of the cameras, and I did the hardwiring of all the coaxial cables to the main DVR that I had set up. Unfortunately, once I had it all set up, I couldn't get it to stream through the router, the modem. I just couldn't get it to actually work. So I contacted Paul and had him come over to do all the internet protocols or whatever needed so that I could stream it through the firewall.
Okay, so was there any type of system that he put in place for you?
Along the way, he had set up for internet security. He did a external hard, I guess it would be a router firewall that I used Square One to manage, just so I didn't have to worry about anyone hacking into my system. Unfortunately, I didn't understand how it worked. He did, so I would always have him take care of any problems that occurred. And one of them was trying to get the video cameras to work.
Was there something with like an acronym that he used?
He set up it's a DDNS, and I know it has to do with changing IP addresses, but I don't understand it. He did.
Okay. So you mentioned you don't understand it. Is this something that's is it simple or is it more complex?
To me, it was complex.
Okay. And did Mr. Paul Caneiro ever set up any access points in your house anywhere?
He set up an access point over our garage because it was too far away from the antennas for a router, and this way my wife had her office up there, and it allowed us to have better internet access at that end of the house.
And so returning to the Caneiro family.
Yes.
I want to focus on that. When you mentioned you first met the Caneiro family in 1996, how soon after they moved into their home at 27 Tilton did you meet them?
I actually saw the day they moved in, and I probably met Paul the next day or within 2 days. He was in his backyard, so I went in my backyard just to kind of chit-chat with him.
And how did that conversation go?
It actually went very well. I'm a firm believer after about 5 to 10 minutes of talking to somebody, you can get a good flavor if this is somebody you can continue a conversation with. And I could. It was very comfortable. We had very similar likes and a very similar personality. You know, sense of humor actually matched very well.
And did you see anyone help the Caneiro family that day move in when you saw them?
When I actually saw Paul was coming in with his, he had his brother Keith with him, and Keith was carrying some stuff in with him.
Okay. Now, over time, can you explain to us how your relationship developed with the Caneiro family? And I'm referencing Paul, Susan, and their daughters at this point.
It turned out that Paul had 2 daughters, and I had a daughter and a son, and they were both, all 4 of them were within a year of each other. So there was Marissa, my daughter, and then Katie and my son. So they were all pretty much in the same age bracket. They were going to be going to the same school system. And they started, because the backyards were next to each other, were playing with each other constantly. And then because of that, my wife and Susan were around. They would actually start supervising the children. And then on the weekends, when Paul was around, we'd all get together. The children would play, and it was almost like a common backyard. They would run back and forth from house to house, and we would kind of just sit on a deck and just watch them play. And as time went on, you get friendlier and friendlier, and you get to know each other a lot better.
So, over the years, how often would you say you saw the Caneiro family?
In the summertime, especially when the children were off in the warmer weather, it would probably be almost every weekend or every other weekend. Somebody would either have a barbecue, even if it was just throwing hamburgers and hot dogs on the grill. Because the kids were out playing, it was better to be outside than inside. So every week to 2 weeks.
And so, would you consider yourself and your family close to Paul and his family?
It got to the point where it would be like considered extended family.
And did your families ever become close to the extent that you would celebrate holidays together?
Yeah, we got in the habit very early on. All Christmases would be celebrated at Paul's house, mainly because I'd be on call a lot for Christmas, so I may or may not be there. So we did the Christmases over at Paul's house, then New Year's, we would alternate one house to the other. He would host it, or I would host it. And on these events, you could invite anybody or any family members, anybody. And then as it got warmer weather, Labor Day, Memorial Day, we would have outdoor barbecues, and either he would host one or we would.
Now, who else would typically be at these barbecues or the holiday events?
A lot of times we would be there, Keith would be there with Jen. And early on it was just Keith and Jen, but as time went on they had children. So then Jesse and Sophia would be there. Sometimes if Katie or Marissa had friends, they would come over. My children would also be over there, and if they had friends, they would come over. Occasionally the parents, I know Paul's parents would be there from time to time.
And do you know Jim and Stacy Pritchett,
Yes.
would they be there as
They
well?
would be there also.
Did you ever see Corey at any of
Yes.
these gatherings?
Corey was there, but not as often as everybody else. So I would say he was there maybe 10 to 15% of the time. He wasn't there all the time, but he would be there occasionally.
And who is Elisa?
Elisa was Corey's girlfriend, which led up to, I think they got married at some point in time, but I don't know when.
And how often did you see her?
If I saw her once or twice in the 23 years, that's about it.
Now, in addition to holidays, you mentioned, I think, barbecues and other types of like Labor Day, Memorial Day events. Did you ever socialize with the Caneiro family in any other capacity?
Yeah, especially because the kids really got along great, and we got along great. We did go on a couple of vacations to the Outer Banks in North Carolina, and we also went to Turks and Caicos, both families together.
Okay. Now, based on how well you knew Paul, how would you describe Paul?
very well educated, very well read, easygoing, someone you could have a conversation on almost any topic, and you could have an ongoing conversation, calm enough that you could make jokes and not worry that you offended him. He kind of rolled with the punches and had a very pleasant personality. Never got angry, never got upset, and he was good with the kids. It's an enjoyable experience. It's good.
Would you describe Paul as a helpful person?
Most definitely. He was very good with his hands, and he had a pool. At one point in time, he put a pool, and we had a pool. So if I ever had pump problems with my pool, he would come over and essentially show me how to adjust, my pool. If I had any electrical issues, he would come over. And if I had troubles with IT stuff, he would actually run the wires and then, call actually to the company and switch things over, just so that instead of using coaxial cable, we would use Cat5. And if I had problems outside with drainage, he would come over and talk to me about how the best way to run drainage things.
And I think you mentioned that when you were describing Paul, he like more of a calm personality. Can you
Yes.
explain that more?
When you have young kids running around doing what young kids do, he never raised his voice. I never had an argument with him. We never argued about anything. Never heard him argue with anybody. He's just a very calm individual. I don't have a better way to say it, but
And now you mentioned that you also had the occasion to meet Keith and Jennifer. It sounds like many times.
many times. We never went on vacations with them, but they were always over at Paul's house, so we did socialize with them frequently.
And based on your observations and your experience with the Caneiro family, including Paul, Susan, their daughters, and Keith, Jennifer, and their daughters, how would you describe the relationship between Paul and Keith?
Exceptionally close. I mean, some people would even say they were like fused at the hips. They could talk about many different things, always joking, laughing, in a very close, caring relationship. You could feel that they cared for each other. And even if they were partners in a business, and even if they were talking about a client, it was a quick conversation, and then they moved on to something else.
And how would you describe, like, Paul, the way that Paul would speak about Keith, or?
Protective. And I remember, if Keith ever had a problem with something going on at his house, Paul, and this happened once we were out at lunch. If something was going on at Keith's house, Paul would say, as soon as we're done, we have to drive over to the house. He's got to set up something that was a pool timer that needed to be adjusted. Paul would drop what he was doing and go over.
So, was it your impression that Paul would, you mentioned earlier he was helpful. Does that include being helpful to Keith when he could?
Yes.
What about when Keith went back to school?
When Keith went back to school, I guess he went to Columbia, and I'm not sure if it was for a master's or a PhD. Paul was very supportive. Paul was actually very proud of it. And it wasn't uncommon that Keith would contact Paul about, I guess, classes, things to do, if there was a project, just for advice. So Paul was very supportive of it.
And so I want to focus a little bit more now on the year of 2018. Was the summer of 2018 any different than any prior summer as far as the get-togethers and the being with family?
The summer of 2018, there were less get-togethers. I think between Paul and Susan there may have been a marital issue or something, so I was working a lot, and I guess we didn't really have as much where we would go out to dinner as much. But Paul still, on the weekends, would still have barbecues, so we would still get together in that respect.
So would you still spend time with Paul and Susan and the girls as a family
Yeah,
that summer?
yeah.
Okay. And to your knowledge, you mentioned the marital issue. Did Paul and Susan still get along?
Yeah.
Did you ever hear Paul say anything bad about Susan? Or
Objection, Judge.
Sustained. Sustained. Don't answer that question. It's hearsay.
Did they ever express any type of,
Objection.
Sustained. Express. You're asking for what he has heard from others, so it's sustained. Hearsay.
can we approach?
Sure.
During the time that you knew Paul and Susan living at 27 Tilton, was there a point in time where there were renovations to their home?
Yes.
And can you tell us a little bit about that?
There was a few renovations. The first one that I remember was they were doing work on their bathroom, which was putting in closets and redoing it. So they renovated that. And then as time went on, LED lights became the fashion, and you could adjust the brightness. So he had an electrician guy, and they were changing all the lights to LEDs with special switches so that he could adjust light paths. So if one of the daughters came home in the middle of the night, they could just press a button and there'd be a light path, so that they didn't have to turn on and off lights the whole way. So he was switching all that over. He also had another guy the guy that did our pergolas, was taking down sheetrock and doing insulation indoors for sound, sound silencing insulation, soundproofing, I guess would be the best way to say it. So he had a lot of rooms soundproofed.
What about anything with woodworking?
Yeah, they did a lot of custom cabinetries. So I know in the bedroom, when you do an entertainment system, he had custom entertainment systems built. And that was the same guy that did, I think, the pergolas.
And I want to draw your attention to November 19th of 2018. Do you remember that day?
Yes,
Was there anything special about that day?
that's my wife's birthday.
And did you go out that night for her birthday?
Yes.
Okay. And after that, what's the next thing that you remember?
We went out for, I guess, dinner and drinks. It was a nice evening. You go to bed. And then somewhere around between 5 and 5:30, maybe 5:20, we got a phone call from Katie Caneiro, Paul's daughter, that their house was on fire. She didn't know much details, that in case the fire had spread, because we had a big oak tree between the yards, grab our dog, grab your valuables, get dressed, and get out of the house. So we did. And then we left our house, and we were at the top of our driveway, which saw the back of their house and saw the house on fire.
Okay. And did you see them at all that morning?
No.
And when was the next time you saw anyone from the Caneiro family?
Later that evening, it may have been, Susan came to our house because she was going to be staying with our house.
And obviously a lot of time has passed since 2018.
Yes.
Are you still close with the Caneiro family?
Yes, very much so.
Okay, thank you.
Ross?
Mr. Gould, good morning. How you doing? Just wanted to ask you a couple of questions. You mentioned Columbia. Were you talking about the university or the country?
No, the university.
Oh, the university. Because that's where Keith went back to school, correct?
Yes,
He got his MBA, I think, right?
I think so, yes.
Okay, so when you first met Keith and Jen, they didn't yet have kids, right?
No.
Okay. And eventually they did have kids,
Yep.
correct?
Yes.
Sophia and Jesse, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you knew Sophia, you knew Jesse?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. And were they at your house at times?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you understand with respect to, I guess you had interactions with where it would be you, it would be Keith, and it would be Paul all together, correct?
Yes.
And you described their relationship as being extremely close. They were, I think you said maybe joined at the hip or something like that.
That's a nice way to describe it, yes.
Now, Corey was a bunch younger than Keith and Paul, right?
7 years, I think,
Yeah, 7 or 8, right?
in that ballpark, yes.
Because Keith and Paul are like 1 year apart, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So there was a significant age gap there, right?
Yes.
And Corey wasn't even married yet, right, when you first met him, you said?
When I first met him, no.
Now, you talked about electrical issues or electrical work that was being done and how Paul would go over to Keith's house and he was helping him out with some of these electrical issues and things like that, right?
I don't know if it was
Objection,
specifically
that's not what
electrical
he
issues.
said. He said it was a pool issue.
He did say something about electrical, so I'm gonna.
That was Paul's renovations.
Your objection is overruled. Whatever you remember is what you said is what matters to us. What was it about electrical that you recall that Paul would do? That's all we want to know.
Paul's house, he had some guy coming in, changing all the light bulbs to LEDs and all the light switches so that they could be operated through a app on his phone.
Paul was obviously very tech savvy, correct?
Most definitely.
Probably more than you, right?
Most definitely.
I'm sure more than me.
Objection.
Sustained.
He was more tech savvy than most people you knew. Is that accurate?
Right.
And when you had issues with your cameras, he was able to come over and try to figure it out, right?
Either would come over, or if I had computer issues, we actually had overlapping wireless networks. Sometimes he would just fix it from his patio.
Remotely?
Yeah.
Okay. And you said he would go over to Paul. You did say he would go over to Keith's house sometimes and help out with stuff, though, right?
Yes.
Okay. What kind of stuff?
The one example I can tell you, just because I remember, I was with Paul. We were out at a restaurant having lunch, and he goes, I got to go over to Keith's house and adjust. I think it was either a light or a setting to the pool. And he goes, "Do you want to come on over with me?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd love to see the house and get a tour."
So you've been to Keith's house, correct?
Yes.
And you've been to Paul's house, I imagine, many times,
Many
right?
times.
And when was the last time you think you were there prior to the fire?
At Paul's house.
Yes.
Probably September. Well, the fire was September, October, somewhere in that ballpark. I don't remember the exact day.
Okay, I understand. You were in the basement during the course of your times at 27 Tilden?
Yes.
Okay. And were you in the basement, like, close in time to November 20th of 2018 when the fire happened?
Probably the last time I was down in the basement would have been in the summer, maybe, but not close to the fire.
Describe the basement for us.
You would go down the steps. To the right was a area, I guess, where the kids would be playing in. They had a play area. If you went over more to the right, there was an enclosed area which he had kind of an entertainment area with a TV and music. If you went down the steps and you turned to the left, you went through doors, and that's where he had, I guess the best way to say it would be like a hobby doing gunsmithing, so he kept the gunsmithing equipment down there.
Okay.
And then if you went further down, there was another area where he had some water purification systems and storage cabinets.
You say gunsmithing. What do you mean?
He owned firearms, and sometimes if they needed to be worked on or looked at, he would actually clean them, repair them, take them apart.
Did you ever shoot firearms with Mr. Caneiro?
Yes.
Okay, where'd you do that?
At that time, I think Paul had 2 memberships,
Okay.
and they were more outdoor ranges, and I had a membership in Lakewood at an indoor range.
At Sure Shot?
Yes.
Okay. Did he have a membership at Sure Shot?
I don't remember if he had a membership because you could bring guests, so I'm not really sure.
Those outdoor ranges. There's an outdoor range almost across the street from Tilden Drive, right?
Yeah.
Gun Club Road, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's nearby, right?
Yes.
Did you ever go there with Mr. Caneiro?
No, I had been there for a safety course, but I did not go with Paul.
Now, can I have the back table for a moment? Dr. Gould, I just wanted to show you a couple photos, just for context, if you don't mind. Let me show you S1A, slide 3. And I'm just going to ask you if you recognize what that shows. And do you recognize that area?
Yes.
And what's that?
That's the front of Paul's house.
Okay. And what's in the back here?
Right here?
Yeah.
My house.
That's your house. I just wanted to make sure. Can I have S1A slide 3? It's going to be on the screen in front. Okay, so, Doctor, you just pointed it out here, but could you just explain what we're looking at here? And you can use that pen if you'd like.
Right. This is the front of Paul's house, and this is the back end of my house. The northern side would be over here.
I don't know why that thing is not more.
That's okay.
It usually does. Our screen is. So what we're going to do is we're just going to look up here. The house that's kind of in the majority of the photo is 27 Tilton, correct?
Yes.
And then just like kind of over top the garage with the 3 windows on the left, that's your house in the back, right?
Yes.
Okay. And just, if I could, I'm going to show you slide 6 of S1A. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what's that show?
That is actually the northern side of Paul's house where the garage doors are.
Okay. So north is up to the left, right?
Yes.
Your house would be east, right? Okay. Can I have slide 6, please? Okay. So when we're looking at that photo, if you could just kind of just explain now that the jury can see it.
This is the back where Paul's garage is. My house would be back here. Way up here was where my wife's office was, and this is the other part of our house.
Okay. All
Isn't
right.
that working at all?
It's not, Judge.
I'm
sorry.
talking to Dave now.
All right.
It's okay. Sorry. It's not right. These are Mr. Caneiro.
Technology.
Sorry. Dr. Gould, those are Mr. Caneiro's cars in the driveway, right?
They're his cars, or daughter's cars.
Oh.
But they're owned by the
They
Caneiro
belong
family.
at that residence?
Yes.
Okay. And your cameras are on the back, you have cameras, you had a bunch of cameras on your
Yes,
house, right?
yes, I did.
But there was 2 on the back, right?
There was a camera that was here. I'm trying to think, this was the main camera. I did have another camera, but it was inside the house facing outward, and there was a camera on the other side of the house. When I was installing the cameras, I had asked Paul's advice, and every main entry point had a camera on it.
Okay. I'm going to stop us for a second. Can you guys just go in the jury room for a second? Don't discuss the case, don't do any research. I want to fix this issue so that I want to make sure that we can get this captured. I just want you to know I could have fixed it myself, but I didn't want to show off.
Would you turn it off, turn it back on again?
All right, we're good to go now. Mr. Decker, I'm going to ask for you to step back. Yeah, and I'd like for you to step back to the picture before, because there was conversation about that we did not capture, so that the record is clear. I'd appreciate it if you do that.
Yes, sir, Judge, of course. Can I go back to slide 3, please? Doctor, we're going to go back to that first slide, number 3, which is on the screen now in front of you, correct?
Yes.
Could you just put an X on like the 27 Tilton residence? There you go. And then when we talked about your house, can you put like a Y over top or something? Okay, great, thank you.
All right, so we'll mark that is slide 3. I don't know what point we're on with that one. It's because a couple other people used it. Do you know, Anna?
I can hear you. There's a delay, Mike.
Oh, that's okay. So I just want to confirm that it's 3 point something. I don't have my latest for that slide.
Your Honor, it's 2.
3.2? Thank you. All right, so 3.2. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No problem. Could we go back to slide 6 now, please? So we're looking at S1A, slide 6. And again, you referenced where your house was. Can you put a Y there again? Thank you, Doctor. And then this is the garage, I think, of 27 Tilton, right?
Yes.
You put like a G there or something? Great, thank you. And then you said that the 2 white cars, they belonged there, correct?
Yes.
Okay, you didn't know which one was specifically whose, but they both belonged at the residence?
Yes.
And you referenced one of the cameras from the back of your house that was like on the back of your house, correct?
Correct.
Could you put like a little circle, like I know you
had
may not be able to see it.
A
but-
camera right here.
Okay,
And there was a window here, and on the inside, there was a camera that faced directly out.
okay.
But
Yes. You want to go a little above it with an arrow, maybe it'll actually mark better. There you go.
Perfect.
Thank you, Doc. And with respect to that camera footage, you testified that you ultimately, you gave it to the police, right?
yes,
All the cameras from your home?
whatever they asked for.
Okay. And ultimately, they took it and they ultimately looked at it, you imagine, right?
Yes.
Did you look at any of the footage prior to turning it over to the police?
No.
How about afterwards?
Yes, but it wasn't until a few weeks afterwards, just because being on call, and I just never really wanted to look at it.
Can we,
We did check it a few weeks later.
sorry, can we just save that 6.3?
When you looked at it, did you see a car leave at 2:08 in the morning from that 27 Tilden driveway?
When they originally asked for the video footage, I gave them the original, but then they asked for another set. So I saw a car coming back on the first set, and it wasn't until maybe weeks later that I saw the second, what they requested for, and that's when I saw a car leaving.
So you saw a car leaving the driveway at 27 Tilden in the middle of the night?
Yes.
Early morning hours?
Yes,
It's about 2:08.
it would be time-stamped on the,
Then did you see the car come back about 2 hours later?
yes.
Okay. Did you see when the fire first became visible on the back of 27 Tilden?
Not when it, on the camera or in reality?
On the camera.
Yes,
Okay. You weren't up when the fire started, right? Okay. You weren't up when the time when the car left 27 Tilden.
no,
You weren't up when the car came back to 27 Tilden, correct?
correct.
And obviously, you talked about the relationship between Paul and Keith Caneiro, right?
Yes,
And they were close, correct?
yes,
They were a year apart. They were brothers, right?
yes,
But obviously, I mean, you'd acknowledge, Doctor, that you weren't privy to all their conversations, right?
correct,
Okay, and you weren't privy to all their, personal conversations, right?
correct,
As well as you weren't privy to all the inner workings of the two of them as they related to like owning businesses together, correct?
correct,
And you obviously mentioned Square One, right? Yeah, I'm
Right.
sorry, you just gotta say it for the record. And EcoStar, right?
yes.
And did you know the dynamics of like who owned how much of what?
No,
Okay, Paul never told you the dynamics of the majority versus the minority of, say, Square One?
we were good friends, and I didn't really want to pry into his business affairs.
Okay, so you didn't pry into his business affairs?
No.
Okay, so you didn't talk about any loans he took or anything like that?
Objection, he indicated he doesn't know.
I don't know what the loan is for, if it's personal or if it's, if you know.
I didn't ask any questions or knew anything about loans.
So you weren't aware in November of 2018 anything about,
Objection.
He hasn't finished his sentence yet. What's the objection?
Can we approach Judge?
Sure, of course.
Doctor, just a couple more questions. What I was asking is it fair to say that back in November of 2018, you weren't aware of anything regarding Mr. Caneiro's financial status?
The only thing I did know about was he had a disability policy, because I had one also, and they were very similar disability policies. That's the only thing I knew about.
Okay. You weren't aware of any phone calls the night before November 19th between Keith and Paul?
No, not at all.
I just wanted to, because you mentioned you knew Keith Caneiro, Jennifer, Sophia, and Jesse, correct?
Yes.
Doctor, I just want to show you what's been marked as S2 for identification.
Yes.
Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what is that?
That's a picture of Keith, Jennifer, Jesse, and Sophia.
Can I have that published, please? Doctor, just now that it's in front of the jury, can you just tell us what that picture shows and who that is?
Keith, Jennifer, Sophia, and Jesse.
Keith, describe his hair for me.
Sparse?
Okay. He kind of had a shaved head. He kind of had a shaved head, right?
Yes.
Okay. And Paul has hair, correct?
Yes.
And he's had hair as long as you knew him, right?
Yes.
And Corey had a shaved head like that, right? Like Keith?
Pretty much the whole time I knew him, yes.
Yeah. Judge, can we just approach for 2 seconds?
Sure. Can we turn the lights back on, please? Bless you.
I'm sorry. I just want to show you what's been marked as S501. Just, do you recognize that?
Yes.
Okay, who's in that picture?
Raise this up. Paul with his daughter, Kate.
Okay.
And either Minky or Kaya, one of the dogs.
One of the dogs. Did you know the dogs?
Yes.
Did they bark?
Not much.
Okay. Now, does that, and I'm asking you whether you know, because you know them, does that appear to be a picture from the time frame that we're discussing, November of 2018 or somewhere in that time frame?
I couldn't tell you because it may have been before that.
Okay.
It may have been before that.
Okay. Do you recall whether or not that's what Mr. Caneiro looked like back in 2018, 2017?
I gotta be honest, I don't have the memory to go back that far to know how he dressed at that point. But I do know that's him, that's his daughter. I'll say, based on the daughter's age, she was probably in her early 20s.
Okay, and that's their deck, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
And the pergola would be back there.
Oh, so you can see the pergola. on the
Pergola
picture.
and the gate back there.
Great, thank you. Doctor, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Any redirect? Okay.
Doctor, you mentioned obviously Sophia and Jesse as well just now, and I think the prosecutor talked to you a little bit about them. What was Paul's relationship with Jesse and Sophia?
Very good. Fabulous. You know, by the time Jesse and Sophia were coming around, especially when they were, 8, 12 in that ballpark, his children had already been in their 20s. They were older. So it was kind of like having, his kids again. So he especially loved Jesse because he had 2 daughters, and he he could do things with Jesse that he may not have done with his daughters. But he loved them very much. And again, whenever we had gatherings together, even between both our houses, those 2 kids essentially had free reign. And it would not be uncommon for Jesse or Sophia to run into our backyard, go into our house, where our kids' playroom was, and play with toys, and they would just go back and forth. So it was a very good relation, and he kind of spoiled them on the holidays. It's life.
And the prosecutor asked you a little bit about whether you had gone to the shooting range with Mr. Caneiro, and I think you mentioned that you went to a different shooting range at some point without Mr. Caneiro to take a gun safety course. Do you
Yes.
remember that?
That was many years ago, and it was down in, I guess, Ocean Township. It's Gun Club Road. It's mainly for skeet shooting.
So, just to clarify, did you have your own gun collection?
Yes.
And, how old were you approximately when you started owning guns?
I started at age 18.
Okay. So the fact that you owned guns and Paul owned guns, was that part of your, just one aspect of your friendship?
It was one aspect of the friendship that we could talk about and communicate.
And lastly, the prosecutor asked you some questions about your surveillance system and things of that nature.
Yes.
Did you ever employ or use the services of Square One to assist with any type of IT work?
Yes, when we had our first practice, everything was on paper. and that was being a thing of the past. So we were going to electronic medical records. So the whole office had to be set up for computers, both wired and wireless. We also needed a server. So we contacted Square One, I went through Paul, and they came over and wired the whole office. They set up access points for wireless, and they put in workstations for the receptionists, the nurses, people that would do the billing, and they put a server in. And then as part of that, now that it's a medical practice, it needed to be secured. So I had mentioned to him about HIPAA regulations. We had to make sure that nobody could hack in for information. So he also set up an external firewall. And again, not my technical knowledge, but whatever was needed in case there was a breach, we could refer to Square One for their expertise and our protection. And as part of that, we put a rider on because I would log in from my house to the office. Therefore, my house needed to be protected also.
Gotcha. And so just to, notwithstanding that one aspect of using their services to assist an IT issue with your business and your home, other than that, to clarify, your relationship with Paul and Susan and his family, as well as with Keith and Jennifer and their family, was it more personal or was it business?
More personal.
Thank you.
Any recross?
Just, Doctor, obviously, Mr. Caneiros was very tech savvy, correct?
Correct.
He was able to do all that for your office, right?
Mm-hmm.
The
Yes.
access points, correct?
Yes.
Able to enable it so you could remotely access your home from your office and your office from your home?
Yes.
Thank you.
You can step down, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's your step. How's everybody doing? Okay? All right. We'll call our